This is the story of one man's dream. It's a dream that started with a small school. And as with all good dreams, this one man's dream continues to grow. It always begins with happy, smiling faces of children, all on the road to become worldly and educated adults. Now, hear the story of one man's dream. One man's dream. One man's dream. Let's go back to where it all began. To one man's dream.
When Rob suggested to me after we left A.B. Patterson that he was going to start a school with no money to actually do this up at Tamborine Mountain, I said, "You must be crazy."
There would only be in the first year one teacher, myself. It was a way of starting a college which, to my knowledge, has never been tried before.
Those parents who were brave enough to send their children to a newly established, sparsely resourced college in the early years of its formation deserve a high level of credit for the manner in which the school subsequently developed. Not only did they have sufficient faith in Rob and the college to send their children to the college, but they also devoted a lot of personal time and resources.
We decided that it would be a mixed college. We decided that it would have a good academic background. That's what we were particularly sure about. And we wanted buildings which would permit this. But of course the buildings which we had to begin with were somebody else's, were just shacks as it were. And then gradually as time went on, we managed to move into better premises.
The showground seemed a wonderful spot. There was a problem. They held regular markets, and so the students had to learn to disassemble the school on Friday afternoon and reassemble the school on Monday morning. But this was a load of fun. Everybody got stuck into it and did it.
Insofar as Rob and I are concerned, I'm the conservative, practical, work out how to do it and then do it person. Rob's probably the opposite. He probably says he's going to do it, sets about doing it, and then we have to get into the process of working out how we're going to do it.
I must admit I have a lot of time for the energy and drive of Des Tubb. Des decided that it would be good to have a college on the mountain. That was where the college started.
One of the things that's always fascinated me about this school is matching the school to this community, because Tamborine Mountain community is unlike most other communities in Queensland. Some of the people who failed to give the school support it deserved should have known better. Regulatory bodies and even the non-government sector support authorities, there was some doubt about whether it was wise to support, could a school of this size be viable. Rob was a master at rounding up stuff from auctions and places like that and just conjure them up that appear after a period of time. The thing that was interesting, I mean, Rob tailored this to suit the community. Well, the children, the pupils have always been interesting because they're part of a small community and they have a gentle way about them. But it's a goal to be able to get a school for your child where there are just a couple of hundred children in it and where every child is known. There's nowhere to hide if you're a pupil in a school of, this sort of size.
I was a science teacher by trade, and I was used to teaching science in a prepared science room. But the science that we taught was in a little outdoor building that was probably used on show days for selling coffee or such like. It had the advantage that the children could all stand around and watch while we were still in the open air, and I could prepare gases and...
When I designed uniforms previously, I actually designed uniforms for a totally different situation, different clientele, and a different environment. When I was actually looking at doing the Tamborine Mountain uniform, I had to take into account that the soil, which is a deep red, and people are actually on tank water, so I tried to make it as environmentally friendly and easy for the people of Tamborine as I could. I wanted everybody to look equally as good in the uniform I was designing, so I made it as flattering to each person as I could. What we did was we asked the students at the time to draw their ideas of what a badge they would like to see a badge to be. And out of all of those drawings we got, I remember Tia Haynes. And so I actually took her drawing and then I took it along, I drew it up, and because I'm not an artist, I took it along to an artist on the mountain to basically put it into proportion for me before I sent it along to the embroiderers to have it embroidered.
The opposition on the show society was so strong that Des advised me that it would be probably more successful to look elsewhere. One very interesting possibility lay in what was called the Convention Centre. For the second year of the college, we hired 2 separate buildings, and in fact they had one of the most beautiful play areas that you could imagine. The view from that end of Tamborine looking out over the valleys is quite spectacular. One obvious disadvantage I can remember was that there were considerable numbers of jumping ants which were either being stirred up by the children or in fact just showing their natural aggressiveness. And we did have a number of students who learnt the hard way that the jumping ants really do administer a significant bite. The area also lent itself to the production of a cross-country track, and it was quite a creative cross-country track as well.
I had my doubts about the practicality of achieving what Rob was setting out to achieve. I always said to myself that I was going to be very pleasantly surprised if it was viable and successful, but it was viable, it has been successful, and indeed I am very pleasantly surprised. In the very early years, particularly in those years before it secured the premises in which it now operates, I for one always wondered what next year was going to bring. What was next year going to bring in terms of numbers of students? What was it going to bring in terms of a venue in which the college might operate? And indeed, how was Rob going to deal with the myriad of issues that needed to be dealt with on a day-to-day basis?
The founder of Pittwater College, Rex Morgan, these are colleges in Sydney, and very successful colleges these days, had said that you could start a college as long as you had a community. You did not have to have the facilities. He said you could start it in a shed. And I look back on that and think, well, I've in fact proved Rex Morgan right.
There's a saying that I've heard people use where they talk about barbecue stoppers. A barbecue stopper is an event that comes along which has the potential to prevent whatever might otherwise be going on from continuing. And it seemed to me that in those early years we had a few barbecue stoppers. Rob would generally ring me in relation to some issue that we needed to deal with, and I'd think to myself, how are we going to get round this one? But indeed we always got around them, or should I say perhaps Rob always got around them, and the life of the college continued.
The college was on the move. It had survived the initial first year despite some unfair criticism. The second year brought with it more surprises along with further establishment and enlistments. Rob Nicholls had read it right. There was a need for such a college, and his concept was coming true.
Arrows of tomorrow, children of today. Tamborine Mountain College, beacon of the way. Victory and valor we pursue. The bow is strong but caring, the journey straight and true. Tamborine Mountain College to guide us through. Victory and valor we pursue. In our ongoing tradition, student success will be ready at position, no matter the test. Tamborine Mountain College, Tamborine Mountain College, victory and valor we pursue. Tamborine Mountain College.
As second principal of Tamborine Mountain College, academic success is important, and we have achieved this with our OP1s, guaranteed placement in universities for our students, scholarships worth thousands of dollars gained by our top students. All of this achieved through our close learning style, smaller classes and dedicated teachers and staff. But my role has extended beyond just educational success, because I do believe that part of any school is its spirit, and that is something that I have developed and enhanced over the years. A spirit that was initiated with Mr Nicholls and developed further with a college song, Arrows of Tomorrow, composed by my ever-supportive husband Rick Melbourne. We have produced a yearbook that then developed into the annual TMC DVD. We've also had Victory and Valour as our motto. Victory and Valour are symbolised by our two bronze lions known affectionately as Vic and Val. These names, Vic and Val, have also carried through now to our two streamed classes at every year level. I also initiated a great effort in the community to develop that spirit. Marches at Anzac Day, public performances, an enormous success for our college. But my legacy will be the Melbourne Cup. The Melbourne Cup is the house trophy for our houses in swimming athletics and cross country for Nicholls, Walton and Kyle. And hopefully it will remain many, many years after I have gone. But another aspect that was hugely significant, last year in 2010, we launched our first stage of the Master Building Plan, the Robert Nicholls Science Centre. Truly a magnificent building, a building that gives every student the opportunity in science, and I must say, designed in its functionality by Mr Robert Nicholls. Truly, Tamborine Mountain College is special. It is a wonderful school with a lot of heart, a lot of soul and a lot of success. Mr Robert Nicholls laid a strong foundation for me to carry on.
When we discovered the area in Beacon Road, it was actually perfect. The McPhails had already a number of granny flats. The idea was it would be very easy to change these into classrooms. So after some negotiation with the McPhails and with the bank, we were able to secure Beacon Road. In many ways, it looked considerably different from what it does now. It had a huge row of very old and mostly decaying radiata pines at the front. Back part of the land was filled with barna grass, as people up there tend to call it. It didn't really look like a school at all. We went ahead and purchased it. Vanessa Bull was particularly helpful. She had been elected in the year the school started, and that was fortunate for the college because the previous councillor was antagonistic to any changes on the mountain.
When the college was being proposed 17 years ago, and the college was a great excitement in the community, there were a lot of people who were looking forward to having the opportunity to have their children educated on the mountain. We found that the parents were greatly involved who finally sent their children to the college when it was held at the showgrounds. This was a wonderful thing for a community that had always had to send the children off the mountain by bus to be educated for high school, and we did not have any secondary schooling on the mountain at that time. The people who did this whole project were extremely brave to take this on, and when we all read about it in the local paper, we thought, goodness, Rob Nicholls is brave to do this, because it was the parents who wanted it, but it was Rob who actually stepped forward and made it happen. Once they'd been established there for a while, for a couple of years, they finally realised that there were so many children who were interested, they needed to take them to their own premises. Now that's where it got interesting, because at that time there was a property at the end of North Street, which is a very tiny little street, and the residents said no, they did not think that this was the correct place, and poor old Rob copped of battering over that because he felt that the property at the bottom of North Street would have been perfect, but the residents felt buses going down a quiet street wasn't. So there was a lot of controversy in the papers and a lot of controversy over that issue in public meetings, as we do have now. There was probably only about 3,500 people living on the mountain at the time, and now you've got up to 7,000 people, and so everybody knew what was going on, and they all have their comment about things, and of course everyone said, oh, this property will be right, or that property, and in the end, of course, the college chose the correct property on Beacon Road. It's perfect site for it, and it's been a wonderful place. And Rob, once he had chosen that property, was once again a hero in the community instead of copping a bashing. Well, I think now that we have a high school and a college, the parents up here have the absolute best education opportunities for their children. And it's lovely to see that so many children are sent to the college. Because it is a great opportunity to choose what education you want for your children. They're always well dressed, they're always well spoken, and the college can be proud of them. They go on to other jobs that the same happens. And we had that young boy who came as the guest speaker who was working in the Premier's office. And I thought this is lovely to see them. Every year we have a guest speaker from one of the past students, and I think that's very important to bring them back to show the community and the students what they can achieve. And they're going on to do great things. I congratulate the college, I congratulate June Melbourne on what she's done over the years, and especially Rob Nicholls for having that vision in those early days to see something that maybe a lot of people thought was just too difficult to do. He never backed down, and with the support of those early parents took on something that was a big challenge, and I congratulate them that they've succeeded and where they've gone to in the future.
I believe the college should be co-educational. It had to involve boys and girls, and I believe that that is a significant preparation for society. A notable person who was involved for a long time was a person on the mountain who's unfortunately no longer with us, Rita Street Davies, who offered her time as a drama teacher. Now in England many years ago, Rita was a well-known actress, and so she contributed a fair amount just in that. But she was well known, and her talking with other people and her interaction with people right through the mountain helped considerably in the positive attitude that people had towards the college. One of the most significant persons on the college, a person who needs a book written about him, is Emeritus Professor Jack Walton. Jack I had known in Armidale as the head of the Department of Curriculum Studies, and over the many years has contributed significantly to the college. Another person to contribute significantly in a way that's not seen is being the college solicitor, Mr Michael Kyle, by making sure that we are on a legal footing, that we do things properly as required. A person watching this may be watching in the year 3011, and at that stage the college will have spread to much more than its present 4 hectares. It will be seen as a college that provides an excellence in education. People watching in 3011, I hope, will come from all walks of life. It won't be just a college for the rich, it won't be a college for the poor. The idea being it will treat best those children who want the sort of education that the college now offers and then offers.
So one man's dream becomes a reality as Tamborine Mountain College continues to grow. For in destiny, one has all the time in the world.